All right, so Joe would like to take a BloodHound template from last week and create an order set, to execute on those BloodHound signals, from a template from last week. 3 contracts, and it looks like we have 2 profit targets, and then the third looks like it's going to be a runner. So that's going to be 3 order sets, right? 2 profit targets and a runner is going to be 3 order sets here. So, all right. So let's set up the BloodHound signals first. All right. So first thing we need to do is load the template file. All right. So we hit the ellipses button there, and we can see that opens up BloodHound's interface. We'll go to File, and from the second, So actually, I had gotten the dates wrong here, so it's actually going to be 7/2. And let's see, the logic template that Joe wants to use. All right, so it's this one. Yep. So the EMA 821, cross direction on a 3-minute, 177 tick, and 233 tick. All right, let's see here. We actually have, oh, that's right. Yeah, we had 2 options here. Oh, that's right. One AND node was created for the 3-minute chart, and the other AND node was created for the 177 tick chart. All right. So this kind of demonstrates what good practice tip that I always say, that when you are, loading a BloodHound template into BlackBird, that you should always take a look at your logic template and make sure everything's connected up correctly, right? So it could have been that maybe Joe wanted to run on the 177 tick chart, in which case I would have needed to, correct the leader. I would have needed to change this. So it's always good practice that when you're using a BloodHound signal, that you open up the logic board, right, and take a look at the leaders, and just make sure that the system is all connected up correctly. You just want to make sure that it wasn't left in some kind of debugging state. Maybe you were trying to debug something and you might have saved the template like this, right? So it's always good to make sure everything's connected correctly. So, all right, connect that back up, click OK. All right, and so next, the entry signal template. There you go. That's going to be our EMA 821 cross direction. That's our entry signals. And there we go. We're done with that. And so now we can start building the orders here. All right. I don't see an entry order type, so I'm just going to assume it's a market entry. There. And our first profit target is a 5 ATR. We'll just use the 2 ATR to get us started, and then open up the profit target. Let's go to our options tab, and then go down here to the ATR, right, and multiplier, or the factor, and knock that up to 5. There we go. So there's our 5 ATR. Oh, and Joe wanted a 14 period ATR. So we'll open up the ATR and put in 14 period there. All right. So there is a ATR 14 period, 5 multiplier, or 5 factor. All right, that's our first target. And the initial stop loss is going to be a 2.5 ATR. So we can use the 1 ATR, 1.5 ATR, and then we'll open this up, go into our initial placement, and then again, just adjust our offset multiplier to 2.5 ATR. And again, we need to open up the ATR indicator, and we'll adjust the period to 14 period. All right, so there's that. And let's see. All right, so our first order set is not going to have any trailing. So the trailing will start after the first profit target is hit. Yeah, so this stop loss won't have any trailing. But our next one will have some trailing here. So what we'll do is we'll make a copy of A, and then go into the profit target. And this profit target will be a 7.5. There we go, 7.5 ATR. All right, easy enough, straightforward. So we have a 5 ATR profit target and a 7.5 ATR profit target. So now this stop loss, it will start trailing. Yeah, so we're going to start trailing by 2.5 ATRs once target 1 has been hit. Yeah, so once our first profit target's been hit. So we'll go into the trailing actions here, create a custom trailing roll, add a new trailing roll. All right. So put some kind of a name in there. So we're going to trail by 2.5 ATRs, once the profit target one's hit. So we need to detect when our first profit target is hit. So we're going to use a trigger condition here. And again, we're going to use order status changed, just like we did with the first question. So the order, what order are we trying to monitor? That is our profit target, right? Our 5 ATR profit target from order set A. And we just want to know when it gets filled. All right, that's our condition. And so once our trigger condition happens, then we can move our stop loss. So we're going to move our stop loss to, and so we're going to take, right, the last price of the market and then apply an ATR offset. So we're going to select the ATR. This time our period is 14. There we go. And then adjust our multiplier to 2.5, right? So negative 2.5, obviously for a long trade. There we go. All right, and then for this, we're going to repeat indefinitely. And since we're using, a standard ATR offset here, we can actually trail this by a tick-by-tick basis. So we can actually go set this to ticks in profit there, right? So so we can move our stop loss every tick of profitable movement that the market makes, Or if you wanted to, you could say, only move the stop loss every 2 ticks that the market moves, right? Or every 3 ticks of profit, the market moves. So, but we'll just leave that at every tick of movement the market makes, our stop loss will inch its way up, right? Tick by tick. Okay, so there's that. And let's see here. All right, so before we make our last order set here, let me just take a look at the Q&A window. And all right, just checking to see if there's any comments so far. All right, so our last order set, this is going to be the runner, but to save myself a little bit of time, I am going to copy B, because remember the stop loss for order set B, that has our trailing rule built into it, right? So I'm going to copy from B and then remove the profit target, and then if we inspect our stop loss, right? So the initial placement is 2.5 ATRs, just like the others. And then if we go into our trailing rolls, right, there is our 2.5 ATR trailing roll once profit target 1 gets hit. And so there we go. We're done. We didn't really have to do anything except delete the profit target. And there we go. We're done. All right. And so just some side notes here. Joe was kind of clear to explain in his question that he wanted all of this to operate from the 3-minute chart, right? So basically, so just so you guys know, right? So for the profit target, we're using an ATR profit target, and we're also using an ATR stop loss. So this ATR is always going to be coming from the chart that BlackBird's running on. So since BlackBird is running on a 3-minute chart, the ATR will always be from the 3-minute chart. And so just to make it clear that even though, right, our BloodHound system, so our BloodHound signals, if we open this up here, right, our BloodHound signals, right, it is a multi-time frame system, right? So we have a solver on a 177 tick chart and on a 233 tick chart. But BlackBird doesn't have access to multi-time frames like BloodHound does, right? So just to be clear, right, even though BloodHound may be using multi-time frames, your ATR settings you don't have multi-time frame capabilities for your ATR or anything else for that matter. So if you want to use, let's say for your stop loss, you wanted your stop loss to follow some kind of indicator from a different time frame, that's not possible with BlackBird. So at that point, you're really getting into a customized, a custom-built strategy there. All the indicators for your orders, all the indicators for your orders are all going to be single time frame based on the chart that BlackBird is running on. So, So only your BloodHound template has the capability of running multi-time frames. So, and actually the same thing for here. So if you use a custom signal generator indicator, so if you use a custom indicator based signal, that indicator is also going to be running on the 3-minute chart. So if you want your indicator to run on some other time frame, it's going to have to be built into that indicator. That indicator is going to have to be coded in a specific way to be running on some other time frame, right? So BlackBird won't be able to put some kind of customized signal indicator on another time frame. So so there, just a little mental side note there for you guys, just to kind of keep things simple, that all the indicators running in BloodHound are all going to be single time frame, which is whatever the chart's time frame is. So, all right. So that's it, Joe. Let's see. I really can't test it on a 3-minute chart. So let's see. Let's switch this over to where is it? There we go. Let's switch this over to a 30-second chart. That's a little more manageable. All right, so let's put the signals on there. And oh wow, okay. So we are getting a lot of signals. So this is probably definitely designed to run on a 3-minute chart properly. I'll just manually execute a short trade there. So there we go. Our stop losses are 2.5 ATR offset. And let me just pull the market down. And really the only thing to test, to observe, is once our profit target A is hit, we just want to make sure that our stop losses, get pulled down, and they should be, a 2.5 ATR offset. So it's going to take a little bit to get the market down there. And let's see. So in the meantime, let's open up the order monitor panel here. So it's good to take a look at this once in a while and just remind you guys that this order monitor panel here, this order monitor panel is here, and basically this allows you to kind of think of it as a monitoring station, right? So it allows you to look at the status of each of your order sets. So simply put, we can see that, right, our entry orders are all filled, our profit targets are working, and our stop losses have been accepted. And of course, if we wanted to, we could move, our stop losses to break even a little earlier if we wanted to, right? There's some break even buttons there for each individual order set, has a break even button. But then up on top, there's a global break even button. So if we use the global break even button, right, that moves all the stop losses to break even for all three order sets. So, all right, Joe says, great so far. All right, good. Joe, it's glad to hear that you're learning. So that's what these workshops are all about. So you guys can learn how to use the software a little better, a little easier. So Joe's asking, yeah, good question there, Joe. So Joe's asking, as the ATR changes, will the targets and stops change also? Yes, they will, right? The ATR gets updated on a bar by bar basis. Yep, BlackBird does get the new indicator value. So if you're using indicators anywhere inside of BlackBird, yeah, BlackBird's going to get the new indicator value. There we go. Our stop loss just moved to break, our stop loss just moved to, the 2.5 ATR. So yeah, so correct. So right, as the ATR value adjusts on a bar by bar basis, yep, BlackBird will be using that new ATR value. So all right, well, I think we're done with Joe's questions.